Well, good morning and happy Tuesday. Yeah, we're usually in studio, but today we thought we'd really get real. And I thought I'd come to you from my home. And actually, it's gorgeous outside. You might need a towel, wipe off the furniture just a little bit, but get outside and enjoy some positivity. It's absolutely stunningly beautiful. The colors from the spring heading into summer, the sound of the pool. How many of you have your pools open already, by the way? I want to thank my wonderful husband for getting it open this weekend. Still getting it set up. We're heading over to Just Pools. It was one of our big sponsors at the end of last year, looking to get Madonna and the team back on again. So we'll be in touch with them, Just Pools in Arnold, helping us out. So how about all of you? Did you get a chance to get up early? Did you go for a walk, maybe a run? Did you get the dogs out? The dogs are still sleeping here at our house, but I'm trying to get you in a positive mindset after a horrible video that came out late Sunday night. I posted it on my page last night, and we're going to talk about it today. A lot of you already weighed in. Some of you that weighed in the comment section when I posted the video last night might be watching live this morning. If you are, I look forward to hearing from you and go a little deeper into your thoughts. Otherwise, when you hear what people have to say about how we can do better, we have to do better, not just in St. Louis, but across the entire world. And for me, I don't get it. And I know that we always talk about positivity brings positivity, right? Or hate breeds hate. So all these people that I'm seeing in this video or the other horrific things that I'm reading, and again, we try to keep you away from the horrible things going on in the world. I'm not saying they're not going on. It's just that I don't want to bring them to you, because if I did, I'm just going to tell you, folks, I looked at KMOV's website this morning and looked at what's happening locally, regionally, nationally. I saw murders. I saw puppies being beaten with a hammer, things happening to children. I was just like, why do we want to start your day that way, or even fill your mind with those things? I'm not going to do it. They're there. Like I said, they're there. Instead, as a community, what we're trying to do is say, how in the world can we ever get that to stop? I don't know those kind of people. Do you? Do you know criminals like that? If so, what in the world ever goes into that mindset? That's what ticks me off. I don't get it. The only thing that everybody weighed in last night to say was, when I asked, what kind of people are these, and what kind of parenting is taking place? And my comment in my head, without saying it, is exactly what another guy said, which was, that's it, Monica. There is no parenting. So is that it, folks? That there's literally no father, mother figure, aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa? There is no figure to turn this around? Yes, I'm already starting straight out of the gate, because it just infuriates me that this is taking place. And so here's the deal. We're going to show you a video that took place at Holly Hills and Leona, all right, in the South City area, but it can happen anywhere and is happening anywhere. And how do we stop it? All right. So we're going to talk about all that this morning. By the way, I mentioned it is very pretty out, little brisk, but get out. Again, this would be a great time for you to go for your walk. As I mentioned, though, it did rain, of course. And there's a little dew in the air. So if you are going to sit outside like I am, you're going to need a towel to wipe things off. Here's what we're going to look at weather-wise. So today there is a chance of some AM fog. We've got it a little bit here. Let me know if you've got fog in your area. Some rain as well possible. 79 for a high and only 63 for a low, which is great. City, by the way, in action tomorrow, but beautiful. 86, partly sunny skies. Thursday is going to be very hot. 92 already. Friday, we've got storms coming back in 88. Now, Saturday, when we're going to be out at Weingarten Vineyards, it's going to be beautiful. So get your family and friends together. We'd love to meet you at our Mobile Monica this Saturday, 84 degrees. Then we get into a bout of rain from Sunday through Wednesday. Highs pretty much in the low 80s, and then 77 for a high. By the way, how many of you had a chance to see this last night? I didn't get to, so the next one I'm going to have to wait for will be coming up actually next month. But yeah, the moon, that beautiful full moon. It was the perfect time to see it. May's full moon last night. It's actually also known as the flower moon. Got its nickname to signify the many blossoms of spring that we're seeing all over the place. It's a micro moon, by the way. So the next one will take place June 11th. That one is known as the strawberry moon. All right, so that's from a weather standpoint. And what I like to do is kind of mix in the news you can use, talk about it together, look at the comment section, make sure that each and every one of you are heard. We're going to talk about something positive in just a second from a financial standpoint. Good morning, Linda. Fog is pretty heavy, not probably as heavy as what you're experiencing, but we've got it heavy. Hey, Danny, good to see you. It's been a while. Julie, good morning to you. Kathleen, good morning. Sean, good morning. Jenny, good morning to you. I want to say happy birthday. I just saw to Jenny's dad, so feel free to say happy birthday to him this morning. And we'll talk about some other things that are going on in the National Day of Calendar. By the way, our big topic today, you don't want to go anywhere, has to do with this. So the most dangerous places in the United States, if you just type that in for 2024, 2025, look, don't be proud of that. The second one on the list is St. Louis. Memphis, Tennessee coming in number one. St. Louis is right there at number two. Nothing to be proud of whatsoever. So because of that, it doesn't surprise any of us, the video that we saw about what they're calling slideshow, right? The cars just flying around, all the smoke coming up, and then there was like a flash mob and just complete and utter ignorance. So I wore my shirt today, rightfully so, that says just be kind. One of the things that a lot of us are talking about before we get into our big topic of the day is this. It was so nice to be able to say that it is bouncing back. Yes, stocks rallied yesterday. Round of applause, and let's keep it going. China and the U.S., of course, announcing their 90-day truce in their trade war. Each of the world's two largest economies agreed to take down temporarily most of its tariffs against the other, which economists had warned could start a recession and create shortages on U.S. store shelves. So the S&P 500 shot up 3.3% to pull back within 5% of its all-time high set in February. It's been roaring higher since falling nearly 20% below the mark last month on hopes that the president would lower his tariffs after reaching trade deals with other countries. The Dow Jones Industrial Average jumped 1,160 points or 2.8%, and the NASDAQ Composite climbed 4.3%. So yeah, my brother sent me a text message yesterday and he's like, not bad, right? I was like, yeah, but I told all of you a few weeks ago, we still need to get a regular financial sponsor on because there's still a lot to talk about when it comes to the up and down. But I was just saying, I would highly suggest that you don't look at your portfolio. Today you might want to because you might be very happy, but then if it starts to go up and down again, unless you are a person who's getting ready to take your money out, no reason to look at it, right? Okay, Linda, we're going to get into it. She says, that's my question always. Where are these parents and why do they allow their kids to be out so late, carrying guns, etc.? Take back your control, parents. Be a parent. Yes. Otherwise, be a good brother, be a good sister, be a good aunt, uncle. Barbara, good morning. Looking forward to the comments. So Barbara is Babs, by the way. And let me take a moment here to let all of you know that on Thursday, if you haven't heard, Babs and I are going to sit down at 4:00 in the afternoon. Hey, they're in the South City area. I'm very interested to see what Babs has to say about this. I can guarantee you that if our dear friend Brian McKenna was still alive, he would be up in arms over this. And I look forward to all of the people that followed him for years and years and years to weigh in on Thursday. So Babs and I can talk about this, about the kindness that needs to be in the world more. Everything that Brian and I stood for, we need more of, and we need to eradicate the hate. That is my whole thing, eradicate the hate. So if you haven't seen the video, I'm going to show you just a second. So Rose said, I'm watching that video. It just upset me. Much more enjoyed looking at your steaks and your smiles as your food came out at Sam's. Yes. So I put the two things out there. Two evils, right? The evil of the world, I should say there's a split aspect, evil of the world and the good of the world. Which way do you go? Jillian, good morning to you. Happy birthday, Steve. Yes, have the best day. Good morning, Jeannie. Hope you're having a great one. So we're going to talk about this video in just a second. I do want to give you some other news you can use to pass along here. The FDA is issuing a warning, and look at this, over substance known as gas station heroin, okay? The FDA issued this warning against the use of a gas station heroin known as tianeptine. Possibly. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but it's Tianeptine. Tianeptine, possibly. Products containing this chemical available at convenience stores, gas stations, vape shops, online retailers. However, the FDA has not approved it for any use. The FDA said daily use poses a major risk to our young people. Some of the symptoms of ingesting it include agitation, coma, confusion, nausea, vomiting, and even death, folks. The FDA has taken steps to protect the public by sending warning letters to companies that sell these products. Okay, we talked about this yesterday in the news. Did you or any of your family members get a chance to see her? Simone Biles delivered the commencement yesterday at Washington University, and it was so cool to see the video of all the graduates throwing those hats in the air. Congratulations, well, to everyone that's getting ready to graduate if they haven't had their graduation ceremonies yet. But yes, Simone Biles delivering the one yesterday. So very cool. All right, we just talked about Steve Wunsch's birthday, but how about this? Here's your National Day of Calendar. National Crouton Day. I am not a crouton fan. What about you? National Fruit Cocktail Day. National Apple Pie Day. That's very American. National Frog Jumping Day. And Jenny says it is also National Apple Pie Day, which is his favorite, her dad's favorite. So if you are looking for what's taking place today, there it is. And then in sports news, how about the Cardinals continuing to be on a roll? The Cards coming up big again. Final score, as you can see, 3-2 against the Philadelphia Phillies. We've got the same two, the Cards and Pirates, are in action today at 5:45. And then the Cards and Phillies tomorrow. It's a noontime game, again, on the road and looking fantastic. St. Louis City SC, I just mentioned, they are in action. That game will be tomorrow at 7:45, and then they play Saturday at 7:30. So they're in KC tomorrow night, and then they're back home on Saturday. They're coming off, unfortunately, a loss to San Diego. San Diego beat us 2-1. All right, that's how we get you all up to date. 7:12. I'm going to show you the video before we go to the break, because I want you, if you haven't seen it, I want you to have a little opportunity to think. You know, sometimes we have to not send an email out, not do the phone call, not send the text right away until we have a moment to gather our thoughts. But I want you to be real. I want it to come out of you right away. I don't want you to hold anything back. If you haven't seen this video, it is from State Representative Steve Butts in the 81st District. This is why he has the platform he does. That's why he wants to continue to be in the political office, because he wants to stop things like this. So take a look at this. We'll take our break. And then this is what we'll talk about today. We must do better.
Thank you. Get lost.
Y'all act like y'all finna make some shit.
Unbelievable.
Y'all are outnumbered.
Oh, that's
Carroll House has the furniture you're dreaming of.
For big family gatherings, for entertaining friends, or just hanging out.
For working from home or resting after work.
For kids growing up, or young adults moving out.
Whether you're updating your first home, your next home, or your dream home,
Whatever the reason you're shopping, we have the furniture you're dreaming of at Carroll House.
Because you like nice things.
All right, welcome back, folks. And up above, you can keep an eye as well. We started that a couple of months ago where we can get you updated on what things look like throughout the region, throughout the nation. This is, of course, right now having to do with your financial market. So yes, everybody's in a happy mood because of how the stock market, the NASDAQ, the S&P all are looking. So we'll keep that on the screen for just a little bit, and then you might see it change to national news and maybe some sports news as well. But we brought you up to date on the things that we think you might want to talk about. All right, you just saw the video. I can't wait to see what you all live this morning have to say about that. Let me read you some information from the article that came out. Again, this was Sunday, if you didn't see this. So St. Louis police right now are asking local tire shops to be on the lookout for vehicles that are going to be coming in with spikes in their tires, because police spiked about 50 cars engaging in that reckless driving that you saw. That happened on Sunday night. It comes after videos of this slideshow in that Holly Hills Boulevard, Leona Street. So the St. Louis 911 Dispatch Center received several calls right before 9 o'clock from residents in the Holly Hills neighborhood complaining of reckless driving. So this video has been shared and shared. It's a viral video that's going all over. Again, putting us in the worst light. Yet again, St. Louis being a complete joke. And that is what's frustrating for any of us that grew up in St. Louis County, but it doesn't matter because we proudly said we were from St. Louis. It wasn't at that time, and don't you all agree with this? It wasn't at that time that we all broke down the neighborhoods that we were in. Sure, I said I was from Florissant, but if we say St. Louis, like, when I was on vacation, we would say, oh, we're from St. Louis. Whether you wanted to put that in your mind that it was St. Louis City, St. Louis County, nobody did it back then. Now, when you go states away, even countries away, it's this. Ever since Ferguson, I'm just going to say that, right? So Ferguson on, we've never gotten better. And unfortunately, I feel we're going backwards just when we were trying to take steps forward. Now, for all of you that are in office trying to do better, great. That's one level. But what can we do? I want to try to figure this out today, and then we spread this information. What can we do to do better so that we don't see stuff like this, so that we're not what I showed you at the very beginning, the number 2 dangerous city in America? Again, depending on what you type in, we're in that top 3, top 5. On this particular one that I showed you, it was the top 2. So a spokesman for the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department said that the Mobile Reserve and Anti-Crime Task Force units were en route to Holly Hills when they received word of a firefighter in need of aid from a traffic crash that happened at Hampton and Gravois. Because of the severity and the priority of those calls, members of both units diverted to the crash scene while the task force commander continued to Holly Hills and Leona. And the reason I'm bringing all this up is because a lot of people saw the video. People in the neighborhood said that police never arrived. That's not true. The task force commander arrived at the scene at approximately 9:13 to find the slideshow had already dispersed. After speaking with witnesses at the scene who spoke of drivers doing donuts, allegedly waving weapons, terrifying families, the commander, relying on prior intelligence and knowledge of the behavior of these groups, went to South Kingshighway and Christy Boulevards in the Bevo neighborhood. The task force commander found the group in the Burlington Coat Factory parking lot and requested assistance. Police activated their lights and their sirens. The drivers then fled. The slideshow crew was tracked to North 9th in the near North Riverfront neighborhood. Once again, the drivers fled when police arrived. An Infiniti SUV was spiked at the scene while driving recklessly. The group went to South Broadway and Sear Street in downtown, and then Hall Street and Gimblin in the Baden neighborhood. An additional 15 to 20 vehicles were spiked as drivers attempted to escape. As I said in the beginning, up to 50 vehicles were spiked. So that's just some of the background. There's a lot more information coming in about this. All right, let me take the national finance thing off for just a second. So good morning to all of you. As you are signing on, let's go back and see some comments. Danny says, in my opinion, there is lacking of community activities for kids at a young age. Okay, getting them interested in something, they grow up to be adults with no vision of any to aspire to be something. All right, so we've got Jillian. It's parenting and, in my opinion, a lower class issue. This may sound awful, but upper classes don't do this and don't have time for this kind of thing. Okay, parents aren't around and kids can do what they want. Again, I'm going to look on all of our platforms. So if you're just tuning in, good morning to you. Feel free to comment anywhere. I'm hopping over to Instagram right now. I see a lot of you watching. I have a lot of you watching on X. People on X have a tendency to watch and not necessarily comment much. We're on Facebook and YouTube, also LinkedIn, X, Rumble, Instagram. Feel free to comment on any of those, either live or when you watch this later. We've got about 63 of you on right now. I'd love to hear from you. And I've got a ton of comments that came in to the video that I posted last night. Okay, so here's Mary. Mary said, what in the world? See, this is why I'm home before dark. How many times have I heard that from people? They don't want to go into the city. They don't want to go to these concerts. They don't want to go to these sporting events. If they do, they want to get out immediately. So if you're outside of our area and you're in another state, is this happening where you are? Is it to the level of what we're seeing? The complete disregard, by the way, for authorities. I'm just going to say for authorities in general, not just police, but parents, the education system, because as well as coaching, it happens. It is, I'm going to blanket it everywhere, right? It is no longer the class that I saw when I was growing up. Now we're in a sporting event and you're berating your coaches and your umpires and getting in fights together. At school, there's no respect for teachers, for principals. There's absolutely no respect for our police force anymore. So where did we go wrong? And why do we continue to go wrong? And what can we do about it? So Mary says that's why she stays home or gets home before dark. She said, I can't believe these folks are just disrespecting the neighborhood. Why can't they do this at a racetrack? Because they want to be all over the news, right? They want us to talk about it. Ron says the state takeover can't come soon enough. I knew that somebody was going to bring that up. So yes, we're talking about that the state would take over because it has to be done. Yes, the police force is so short-handed. So St. Louis City Police Department, SLMPD, being taken over by the state. The city has been on a decline, Ron says, for years. The new mayor may bring change, but I'm afraid it will be the same. What are your thoughts on that? Kenny says, I'm so sad to see this. I'm afraid to think what I might do if that shit was going on in my neighborhood. Okay, so that's my question, everybody. You see that happening in your neighborhood, right outside your doorsteps. Do you run back in? You get your kids back in? You hope that it just goes away and you don't say anything? Or are you one of the people that puffs up your chest and says, not in my neighborhood. I'm going to do something about this. My fear is I love that mentality. Trust me, I'm a protective person. I want to do the same thing, but I'm fearful that you're the one that's going to get hurt, right? That more and more people are going to want to get guns. And then it's going to be this gun battle on the streets because they don't feel that the authorities are going to be able to show up in time. Okay, so Kenny said, I lived in the country my whole life. I just moved to the city, but I'm on the hill, very safe, and maybe the only place in the city I would live. But Kenny, don't you understand? It's going to happen everywhere if we can't bring an end to it. Because I have friends that live out in Lake St. Louis and Wentzville and Troy, and they're like, oh, see, I am getting as far away as I possibly can. And then we hear of a homicide in Lake St. Louis. A handful of weeks ago. We hear of murders in Town and Country in Chesterfield. It happens. No, it may not happen as much, or maybe we're not hearing about it. Maybe it's not being put on the news because that's not the narrative that they want to push to you. Okay, you understand? I was in the news for a long time. I get it. Julie said, I agree with you, Kenny. I work on the Hill, and it is the city. It's the only part of the city where I really feel comfortable. I won't even apply for jobs in the city. Okay, there's a whole nother story to talk about, right? It is the level of tourism coming to our area, the economic breakdown. This is going to continue. We are going to just fall apart as the city of St. Louis if something doesn't happen. And yes, I am glad that we have a new mayor that is coming in. Kara, I hope you do better than what we've seen in the last term. Okay, so Brandon said the answer to your question is easy, Monica. No one is parenting. So that was what I don't know if you all saw what I put out there, but in my words, I came back and said, I will definitely be talking about this. You can guarantee this. And why St. Louis is being called a joke is because of what we saw in that video by so many people, why no one wants to live in the city or even go to the city. And I was asking as a community, what can we do to stop this? Who's raising these people to do this kind of stuff? That was my question. And as Brandon said, the answer is short and easy. He said, no one is. Okay. Candace says, no one raised those kids. That's the problem. Do you all agree with that? Todd says, street takeovers with speeding cars making donuts in intersections while bystanders watch are all too common in Las Vegas, where he lives. Thankfully, the police here are pretty good about stopping it, even monitoring social media as part of proactive prevention. We've got to take our streets back. Tammy says, thank you for bringing this to the front. So ashamed that this is not all over the news and police are not involved. Now, Tammy, I will say it was on the news. So I know I saw the article I was reading from was from Fox 2. I'm sure KMOV, KSDK, they all had to have covered this. So ashamed to see this. The world's gotten crazy. Awareness is necessary and very much needed. Christine said, wow, this is crazy and such a shame. Thank you for sharing and glad you're going to talk about it. Back in the day, we would have been arrested. Okay, amen. Exactly. You absolutely would have been arrested for this. But here's the deal. You had more police that wanted to police. What parent right now, honestly, okay, I'm going to go to the new comments from this morning because these were all from when I posted the video last night. What parent wants their child to go into police right now? None. I'm hearing it constantly. Okay, so let's go back to Dot. Dot said last night in a text to me, the idea of the worst cities in America can vary depending on the criteria, of course. Crime rates, poverty, unemployment, infrastructure, quality of life. Based on a combination of high crime rates, economic struggles, and poor public services, the following cities are frequently ranked among the most challenged in recent years. I just showed it to you, and I'll bring it up again, that we are number 2 on this particular list. This was most dangerous places in the U.S. in 2024, 2025. And you see right there on the list, number 2 is who? St. Louis. Number 1 on this particular list is actually Memphis, Tennessee. But many times I see the same thing that Dot had on this list, which is Detroit, Michigan, and then St. Louis, Baltimore, Maryland, Birmingham, Alabama, where we go to the South to see our aunt and uncle. And I hate to even think that, but it's some areas. Otherwise, you're going into the suburbs, and these neighborhoods are amazing, and they're thriving. It's the same thing here, which is why, as I said in the beginning, we start to say the neighborhoods we're from, not St. Louis, just as a brushstroke. And we do that because we're embarrassed. We go on vacation, and Jim constantly says, don't tell anybody we're from St. Louis. Isn't that a shame? Yeah. Okay, so let's go to Dot's comment this morning. Look, she says, we need better leadership in our city. Okay. And I think that's what we're hopefully going to see. Everyone can't move out of the city and leave it empty. We need to rebuild it, but it takes leaders willing to make a difference. Law and order, stricter laws, throw people in jail without an easy way out. Yes. Right. The prosecuting aspect of what we've seen over the last decade has been absolutely a joke, like in jail, out of jail, like that with a snap of a finger. None of this would happen if we had better laws and leaders. Okay. If you're just tuning in and you didn't see the video, go back, watch that. If you can't go back during the live stream, go to my page right now. And by the way, make sure that you're always following. Just click the like button. That way you're liking and following our page so that you get notified when we go on. And we talk as a community here. So I was reading from my comments in my personal page. I have even more from the comments from my business page, which I'm going to read here in just a second. But let's go to Missy. Missy said, I grew up in the city. I'm sickened by what is going on. Right. So any of you that grew up there, or maybe you're city dwellers, like Jim always talks about how the younger generation is moving in and trying to fix it. And he's like, I hope they can, because, right, they are our future leaders. So what do they think can be done? I don't know, but let's look at these comments again. So she said, I believe that police protocol needs an overhaul. Let police do their job. There's not enough police, and the reason is because they are afraid of doing their job without going to jail themselves. Yep. Or get killed. Trust me, I'm the wife of a lieutenant in the county. I don't know what I would feel right now if he was in the city. Otherwise, the Wild West is going to get worse. Disregard for human life and no respect for authority. Jenny says, this is why I won't go downtown. I'm terrified. See, isn't it unfortunate? I know all of you that want the city to thrive. You're trying to bring conventions into our city. You're trying to have sporting events go on. You want to pack the stadiums, and you want to know why it's not happening. Is exactly what Jenny is saying. And she is speaking for so many mothers, so many wives, so many that have families that say, I'm not bringing my kids down there. It has become a joke. She said, I'm terrified, but wish so badly my kids could experience all the fun down there like we did as kids. Okay, Rose, my grandmother lived in that neighborhood back in the city. Again, we're talking about the slideshow that took place, and this video is all over the place, all over social media. So it's not just being seen in the local news market. People are saying St. Louis is a joke yet again and again. Just when we think it's going to get better, here we go. We're backwards. She said, when stuff like this didn't happen back in the day, it gives Carte blanche to those who have a void in their troubled lives to join in on the chaos. We need change. No wonder St. Louis has a bad image. So Jeannie is not from our area. Jeannie's from Texas, by the way. She says, no respect for the law enforcement or life. My husband worked in law enforcement for 34 years. Hopefully this will all change. Jeannie, I'm going to ask you from where you're from in Texas. Do you see stuff like this? Okay, so Robert, I knew someone was going to say it. I don't want this to come back saying that I said this because it's I look, I dealt with it enough when I was in the news, and they're going to say it or not say it. They're going to bully or not bully. But I'm going to tell you right now, the comment that Robert has on the page is a comment from a lot of people. I understand that it happens in all races, all ethnicities, but how many times do we see this video and exactly what Robert is saying? So Robert's comment, I don't know if you're seeing it right now. He's commenting on Facebook. He said, it's the black people doing this crap. That is a quote from Robert Bauman. I know that's going to infuriate some people. I know over and over again that people of color get this bad rap, that there are incredible blacks, whites, Asians, Latin. I can go on and on and on. There are, but it's in the impoverished neighborhoods that we're seeing more of this. So then I hear people say it's the lack of education, it's the lack of parenting, it is in poor areas. And how do they get out of it? Okay, so if that is the case, then how do we do better for those of color? And again, I'm just going to stress this. It happens in all races, but yes, unfortunately, we do see it more, that Robert is saying. I want you to weigh in on that comment, though. I've been waiting for someone to say it, and I'm going to commend you, Robert, because he is putting himself out there to easily be the target of being bullied, to easily be the target of hate being thrown back at him. And it may happen in this thread, which is why I'm a little apprehensive every day to bring any kind of negative talk in. But today we had to talk about this. So sometimes you're going to hear and see things that you normally would categorize as not positive. But what I'm trying to do is say, what can we do as a community? So Danny said, my dad and I used to police our neighborhood. Kids would drive fast up and down the street. We would confront them. We took a lot of chances of someone getting hurt. Can't do that anymore. They carry guns. That's right. So you coming to a fight with your fist or even a knife, they've got guns now. And you have to, unfortunately, and we know this with our police, every time they come up, even if it's on a normal traffic stop, they have to believe that someone's got a gun. And that's where we are now. Parents, teach your children respect, Missy says. Jeannie's from San Antonio. We have our share. Logistics, political sides play a big role in all that's happening. All right, we got about 70 of you on right now. Text, call, tell people we're on right now. Tell them to weigh in on this. And I want people of all colors. I want to hear from all sides. Live right now, later, share this like crazy because we need to figure out that your husband was an FBI agent. Okay, thank you so much, Jeannie. We need to figure out what can we do. We've got so many more comments. They came in last night, and I want to hear. Everyone has a voice. Everybody's got a comment on this. Don't hold back. I want to know what you feel can be done to change the narrative of what we saw Sunday night, what we see nonstop, what you used to see, and I hope you stop watching the news, what you used to see on the news. And I know the reason you don't watch the news anymore, and I know the reason why I got out of it is because you don't want to hear about the horrible things going on, the negative things going on. We know they're going on. We just want to act like it's not because we just want to go on in our lives because I guess as a community, we don't feel anything can be done. But if we constantly feel that way and we just throw up our hands and give up, well, I'm worried about what this world's going to be. But no, people are not watching the news. Those numbers have dropped down drastically. People aren't listening to the radio anymore. That's why I'm seeing friends of mine lose their jobs, getting fired. Their contracts are not being renewed because there's no revenue coming in anymore. It's all coming here. This is how you consume your information now. AM radio is going to be going away, right? That's what everybody's talking about, that it will be non-existent. That breaks my heart after working for the legendary KMOX for 8 years, the best AM station that we have in St. Louis. And now you have every other station just absolutely struggling to try to make, to try to make it at all. I'm happy, though, that there is a change in the way we can continue to do media, and it's this kind of a thing. And we are here for you every single day. So if you're new to the show, we'll be back day after day after day, 7 o'clock every morning to talk about things that serve us, to talk about ways out of hard times. That's what this show is about. We're going to bring more and more positivity. And I'm telling you, the more we are just kind to each other and teach those that are filled with hate, give them some kind of an outlet. As Danny said earlier, more after school programs, get your kids involved more. so that they're off the streets. Be a parent. Take that responsibility and don't just brush it off. Yeah, for all of you that have children, be a parent and understand the important role that you're playing in it. Otherwise, you are at fault.
Well, hello, my friends. My name is John O'Leary. I was just on the Real Monica Adams show, and it was an amazing experience for me and hopefully for the viewers and listeners as well. What I found sitting down with Monica is the idea of being real is maybe something we use for social media or website or to separate us from others, but it may not be something you experience very often in the real world. Today, Monica was extraordinarily real, not only with me, but with our viewers and our listeners. And through her authenticity and through her honesty and vulnerability, I followed. It was an incredible conversation. We were real about struggle, real about life, real about endurance, real about family, real about faith, and real about the truth that the foundation is firm, that God is still God, that there's reason for hope, and that the best is yet to come. So for those of us who occasionally struggle with being real or being filled with hope or being renewed in a season of struggle, I can't tell Monica and her viewers, listeners, and producers thank you enough for allowing me to be real during the hour together. So for this time, and until next time, my name is John O'Leary. Today is your day. What a gift it is. Live inspired and stay real.
That man, right? It was just the most perfect promo to air after what we're talking about today. Welcome back, The Real Monica Adams Show. We've been on for, almost 40 minutes already. So you missed the beginning of it, which means you missed the video, okay? We're talking about this video that is all over social media. So I highly recommend that you go back and watch it and weigh in. I love all of you that are being real and putting yourself out there. I'm going to look at some of the comments that came in when I posted this on my page last night. So Billy wrote, it's 11 p.m. I'm sitting here outside of my house. I'll take my video over your video any day. I'm so grateful we decided to move our family to a rural community. Being in the city literally scares me, and it's sad. Right, I agree. I have no idea what it would take to get stuff like what you're showing under control. I don't think we have enough police officers to control these situations. We don't. There's an incredible shortage all over our country because they can't get new cadets in because parents are saying, no way. We just talked about everyone graduating and throwing the caps up. Do you think if I sat down and talked to every one of those graduates that I would hear a very high percentage of any of them that would say, oh, I'm going to be in law enforcement? No, we might have some. I spoke to a group of about 250 students at St. Charles Community College a couple of months ago for their entrepreneurial symposium. There were 2 in the audience that said that they wanted to go into law enforcement, and there were 0 that said they wanted to go into the news. Out of 250 people, I was shocked by that. And it's a little disheartening, isn't it? Because I thought, well, gosh, we need some of the generation to carry it on. But I think they're looking at it as we don't call it news anymore, right? They do want to go into media, but they want it to look a different way. It's not journalism anymore. It's now, what is the narrative that you want to push? It is no longer real news. Fake news. You don't even know what to believe anymore. So then you go to a trusted source. That's why you're all watching, because either you just found me or you've watched me for many years and you knew that I would always be honest with you. And sometimes back in those days when I was in regular media, it would get us in trouble if we were real or if we showed any emotion. We're human beings, folks, but it was kind of an unwritten rule that you do a story and you just move on, and becomes so cold. And that's a problem. I really do believe that's a problem. So again, Billy said, I don't think we have enough police officers. Being a police officer now isn't the same as it was being 10, 20 years ago. It's not at all. Her video was just simply, you hear that? Calmness and peace. Yeah, I agree. That is much better than anything that we were putting out there. We want more kindness and peace. Okay, Renee says we have the ability to make parenting and child development education a priority in our schools. Still mandated classes for graduation, gym, art, or music. How great would it be if those were the electives and parenting was the mandated class? Amen to that. Okay, let's see. Starla said, I wouldn't move to the city if housing was free. I'd be homeless living in a tent in the country somewhere. It's been probably 20 years since I've been to the city. 20 years. Wow. I haven't been past Bayless off 55. I live in Jefferson County and I order everything online for the sake of safety. Yes, I live in fear. Oh my gosh, I hate this. She said, I have PTSD from 2 debilitating back-to-back car accidents in the past couple of years. The way people drive anymore is crazy. We didn't even get to that. But yes, it's now a complete disregard for anybody's life as they're racing up and down the racing up and down the highway as if it's a racetrack. The way people drive is nuts. They disregard traffic lights. How many of you sit at a traffic light for a good 5, 10, 15 seconds before you go? You hear the honks behind you because you're fearful that someone's just going to come blasting through. There isn't any disregard. There isn't any regard for life anymore. Drive way too fast. Always have the cell phones up to their ear. I very rarely go anywhere but the doctor and drive with my hands clamped to the steering wheel, right? The white knuckle syndrome. I've put just about 1,000 miles on my car in a year. I'll never go to the city ever again unless I am forced by ambulance. I've never been to Busch Stadium either. Oh my gosh. Afraid my windows would be bashed out or my car stolen. Yes, that is what everyone's talking about. I remember going to a Blues game many, many years ago and came out and my friend's car was broken into. This is a long time ago. Now, people expect that to happen. I mean, we went down to St. Louis City SC game and Jim, the entire game, couldn't even enjoy the game because all he kept saying was, I guarantee we're going to come out and something's going to be wrong with the car. And I was like, so then I go to the Fox Theater. You know, I'm a regular person who loves to go and do reviews at the Fox. We were just doing the one with Ain't Too Proud, which, by the way, was amazing. Way to go, Robert Crenshaw. You rocked it. Also, Samantha Felling in Riverdance, and I could go on and on and on. I will go there. I will bring friends there. I don't want to stop living, but I get it. I get that my husband, my family, my friends are like, oh, Monica, aren't you scared? I don't want to be. I do have my head on a swivel. I am aware of my surroundings. That's what we have to be. But yes, there are times where it's like, hurry up, let's get to the car and let's get out of here. Instead of, oh, let's go get a drink afterwards, or let's have a late night bite, or let's go get dessert somewhere. I used to love going to Lafayette Square, going down to, on Park Avenue afterwards. When I was working in television, Jim would say, I'm going to drive you to work. I'm going to pick you up and bring you back. And I'm like, I can drive. And he's like, no. The protector, when I want to take care of you. Taylor said 2 words, and boy, this speaks volumes. Usual crowd. Like, yep, it's going to continue. Usual crowd, Taylor says. David Graham says, great. Just let anything happen, huh? Just let anything happen there. As he said, the neighbors were just sitting there watching. But they didn't know what to do, right? They don't know what to do, David. What do you do in that circumstance when you look out your window or you open the door and you hear a noise and then all of a sudden these cars are flying around in donuts and people are allegedly waving weapons around? What do you do? I want to know. If any of you live in the area and you saw that, what did you do? Or if tonight, it happens in your neighborhood, what would you do? That's the answer. That's the question. So the title today says we must do better. But the question to you right now is, what would you do if you saw that happening? For me, I do believe I would go out. I would want to make sure that I would check on my neighbors. Jim would probably ask me to come back in the house. He'd probably go out since he is an officer, but I wouldn't want to stay inside. I think I'd want to be out there with my people and say, what are we going to do about this? And try to get the police to the scene. Okay, so Jim Ripper says, I was born and raised in South St. Louis. I still live on the street I grew up on. I can tell you that with the lack of police response, because of the lack of numbers being one reason, but the biggest problem was, yes, the Kim Gardner debacle and defund the police progressives. They have destroyed what was halfway decent in the city. Now, no one wants to be a police officer in the city. I could go on and on and on, Jim says. All I can say is with the current situation in the city, with more and more taxes and less services, I'm starting to look. So sad, so frustrated. And by the way, Jim is on this morning and said, I'm starting to look elsewhere and never thought I would. It's so sad. He said, I've lived in the city all my life and still do. When you get zero response from 911 and police, it doesn't make you feel safe and secure. They did, though, go to the scene, Jim. As the further investigation has shown, they did, but they are so short. staffed. I pray for the country daily. Being kind costs nothing. I know, Jeannie, right? Just be kind. Okay, Bonita said, this is awful. I'm so tired of people who can't do the right thing. This is not okay. Running red lights on busy streets is not okay. Taking packages, there we go, off of porches, not okay. Not much good going on in our city. It's frustrating and it is sad. Pamela said it's not acceptable. Truly unfair to the homeowners that are working to build a comfortable home. Exactly. So this happened at 8:50 at night. It wasn't super late. So people are always saying, why are they out so late? Why is it 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock? You know, right after midnight, nothing good. This was at 8:50 in the evening, folks. People could just be coming home from work, or a lot of them spent time with their mothers or their grandmothers, right? It was on Mother's Day when this happened. And many of them still probably packing the kids up in the car, coming home. Hopefully they were home already with their kids, but maybe some of them were coming home late, and you're trying to hurry your kids inside as this craziness is going on. Brian Fuller Sr. said, I guess nobody knows how to take down a license plate number. Well, they did track them. I'm sure some people did, but it's trying to get all of them because they kept fleeing the scene, Brian. Missy just put her hand smacking up against her face, right? Okay, Robert, who commented earlier, said thugs have no respect coming into someone else's neighborhood. Stay on your side of the tracks. Robert's a little ticked off, right? But we need to get passionate about what can we do. I'm asking you, what would you do if you saw this? All right, we'll get to Terry's in just a second. Jeannie said, I pray for this country daily. Terry says lack of leadership from our previous administration. That's what a lot of people are saying, right? Media has allowed this corruption. Media is a wide spectrum with social media and the news. Everything's being videoed by someone within the group, a social media reel. Those who post these videos are making money on how many times the videos are viewed. We need better leadership. Period. It's going to take time to fix this problem. We need to enforce the laws and show that those who commit the crimes will pay the price in jail. Most good people walk away now because they have no backup. Safety for our family comes first. These criminals are rude, disruptive, in your face, taunting you into fear. Very troubling times that we live in. You know, my husband would say, for those that were committing those crimes and doing what they do, that they're sleeping right now. Right? They're not going to see this video until later. I hope you share it with them. And I would love to see what they have to say. They're probably cowards. They probably would not, or they're not going to have a picture behind what they are commenting. And that's the bullying aspect, right? Cowardless people that have no faces, writing whatever they want to write. Those are the people committing these crimes. Walter says, why anyone would live in the city is beyond me. God bless the officers who continue to show up each and every day. They're fighting an uphill battle that they will never win, unfortunately. See, but that just means that we're never going to get better? Really? This is where we are, never going to get better? I just can't believe that that's the case. Yes, we have to do better in our political realm. We have to do better in the education system. We have to do better. I'm going to put it right there. Parenting. It starts with parenting, and then it starts in the education system. We've got to make sure that we get more police officers out there. We cannot just let our streets be taken over. Veronica said, this is what happens when you allow criminals to do what they want, and everyone says, defund the police. The worst decision that has ever been out there. I can't believe that phrase even exists. Jim says, this is horrible. St. Louis is better than this, but unfortunately there aren't enough police officers to handle situations like this. The city is short, ready? 300 to 400 officers. Apparently the police didn't even show up. They said after several calls by the people that live there, that was later found to be untrue. They did. My suggestion, this is again from Jim, he says to bring in the National Guard. What do you think about that? To help the police patrol the St. Louis city streets better. If they move to the county and start doing the same thing, then the National Guard should divide and conquer. This has to stop, and stop now. Jim said, thank you for the update. What would have to be done to get the National Guard involved? Letters? Calls to the governor. This unfortunately has to happen to help our police officers. Rena says, watching the video, you hear comments like, look at the white man calling the police, and more. I know. And then you hear the comment, you're outnumbered. Pretty much good luck. The guy walking down the street with his cell phone was yelled at. Sadly, it's a generation of lack of respect for one another and not knowing what respect looks like. It's not just bad or lack of parenting. There are many parents who are just as disrespectful to one another. Today, it's okay to scream, cuss, bully, hate. Snarky comments are all over, spreading. There is one answer to be fixed. There is a one answer fix. It is layered with problematic. That is from Rena Barnes. Love seeing so many new names today. By the way, come back every day and tell your family and friends, because this is what we're doing. We are a community trying to change. I'm not going to say trying. We are a community. We are going to make change. I believe this. I truly believe that the more of us on this side, will eradicate the hate. I know some people say, Monica, you're a dreamer. No, I am an eternal optimist. And I believe at some point we are going to not go backwards. We are going to move forward. I like to look back in a simpler time, a better time, a time of respect. And I believe that we can pull from that and that we can move forward and we can do better. We've got to do better. Rose, Monica, I know some of us hate when people are making comments about putting blame on a certain race or afraid to visit inner city, and whether we agree or not, they are being real to you. It's how they feel. My son lives in South City and is not afraid and tries to live with and keep harmony with his neighbors. He has a kind heart, which helps spread positivity. Yes, like I said, Rose, earlier, I greatly appreciated Robert being raw and real. I just know the protector in me knows he's going to get hate thrown at him when this is seen by others. And I want it to be. Go ahead and make the comments, but let's see, can we get rational? Can we have a discussion that somehow comes out better? I know people of color that are wonderful human beings. I know people that are in different political seats that are of color, that are trying to do better, that will be the first to say. Actually, I know a lot of people that are, whether you want to say black or African American, that say that they are embarrassed by their race. I've heard it by many, time and time again. In fact, I have one guy that I know, it's a good friend of mine, that said, I want to turn in my race card. I don't want to be this race anymore. It's a joke. And he said, I know it's happening and I know it continues to happen, but I'm just asking, how do we stop it? How do we stop it? Dawn says, I grew up in this neighborhood, again, Holly Hills, and it saddens me. This is going on in many neighborhoods. The chief of police needs to stop his political agenda and put the people of the city of St. Louis first. Terry, bring in the National Guard and more backup in each state that this is occurring in, and don't hesitate to show up and enforce a law. It will cost us money to do so, but we need to show we mean business. And until you show that we are enforcing the law and media is covering the extra law enforcement and or National Guard, then maybe the gatherings and the criminal behavior will diminish. Okay. Dot says, I'm sorry, but whoever the remark came from who wants to live in the city is not right. There are elderly people that live in the city. This is all they have until they pass away. The city should be an available place where young people come because they can afford the housing. We just need better laws. We need more police. We need more neighbors stepping up to the plate. We need parents parenting their children. By the way, these are not children. These are young adults. These are kids in school. Yeah, but Dot, it does actually start, unfortunately, in grade school. And then it just continues because the pattern is already there. Unfortunately, this is once they are out of school, young adults. Either way, those of us who do live in the city would like for it to continue to be viable and need change. So instead of running, how about helping? All right. It is a race issue. No one wants to hear that, but it is. Who were all of the people in the video causing all the problems? Yep, not white people. Jeannie from Texas. Making your area aware of what is happening is the best way to start healing. I hope everyone on your platform shares with someone. Every city needs someone like you to keep the good shining over the bad. Thank you, Jeannie. I appreciate that. That is what I'm looking to do here. Again, it's why I walked away from the normal media. And again, as I said, I mean, TV and radio, I don't even know that we look in the next, maybe 5 years, but in the next 10 years, I would be shocked if anybody's watching the news, and shocked if AM radio still exists, shocked that anybody listens to news on the radio. I mean, I don't even know anybody that even turns the regular radio on anymore. I do, because I'm still trying to keep it viable, but I don't know. Everybody's listening to satellite radio, or they're listening to their own playlists. They're listening to podcasts, right? Okay, so the Kirk Holton. Okay, so this is Katie. Is there a formal STL Mayor Leadership Task Force group working specifically on this slideshow issue? Orlando, wow, lower class. Define what low class is since this is open. Okay, so there we go. So Robert, who made the comment earlier, anybody else who made the comment, Orlando K-Pops says, wow, lower class. Define what low class is since this is open. All right, from the comments and above. Everybody's short on police officers. Let's be real. It is absolutely short on police officers. We are. So lower class to upper class. I know that comment was made earlier. Do you want to comment on that? Making your area aware. All right. Speaking up. Jennifer says, I know a young man who is interested in working in law enforcement. He's being turned away due to the fact that he is colorblind. Apparently, that is a rule to not hire. Maybe we should look at the hiring rules of some of these positions. There's still 65 of you on right now. I know a lot of you want change. And a lot of you have weighed in with some incredible comments. What is the change that can be done? That's what I want to know. All right, so keep the comments coming in. Let us know what you think can happen. How can things change? That's what we need to know. If you've got some kind of view on this, of how that can actually happen, please let us know. I just wanted to bring this up today because, again, as I stressed, we've got to do better. We've got to change. Something has to happen to make things go better. But we look all these comments coming in, right? Comment after comment after comment. That's just one of many. And we're trying to figure out how do we heal as a community? How can things get better? Plain and simple. If you are coming on as we're about ready to wrap up, please feel free to make a comment later. I will continue to look at the news. Okay, Jim said, I know they said they had an unmarked car come to the location an hour plus later, but how many people know that they did show up? I have many friends in the area that this occurred and they didn't see it. I'm not saying they didn't show up there, but the perception is the reality, right? You didn't see the officers in uniform. I get that. My teens won't even invite their friends to our house to hang out, and their parents won't let them come into the city. Ugh. We need people that want to be involved in their neighborhood and make changes in the city. It's unfortunate the city only gets about 20% participation in elections. Exactly. That's a whole other problem. I'm willing to bet that it's that 20% that are the ones to make a difference. People get involved in your neighborhood and get involved in your community. Terry says more people of color, the good people that see the corruption from the video that we witnessed amongst many other videos, need to speak up publicly to denounce this behavior. Again, keep them coming in, folks, and keep spreading like crazy. Take the show. If you're brand new, and I see a lot of new names, come back. There are days that I'm here at home with you, being very real. And then we're in studio on Mondays, Tuesdays. We're going to start doing Fridays. I'm going to change and tell you about some positivity. I'm also going to change and tell you where we're going to be, because as a community, let's all come together. Let's meet each other. All these people that you're seeing comment, introduce yourself to each other at these Mobile Monica events. Let's do better. And the more we come together and problem solve and put it out there, I swear the world will become a better place.
Hey guys, I just want to tell you, being on the Monica Adams show has just been a delight. It's been a joy. What she's doing for the community is amazing. I'm so proud to be sitting in this blue chair, being honored and honoring the people for the showcase that I'm doing for the Neiman Marcus Black Creators in the Lou Black History Month Showcase. I want to end this segment with a poem that I wrote. I grew up on the north side. That's where it all started. Dreams, goals, and aspirations grew within me, and they never departed. You see, my environment was jaded, but that never fazed me, because what my parents instilled in me made my dreams go crazy. Mama was my cheerleader, and Papa gave me the tools. Everything could be yours, they would say. Just make sure you follow these rules. Work hard, don't look back, and keep your mind set on stable. And if you can't find yourself somewhere to sit, create your own table. Thank you, Monica, for creating this table. Take care. Be blessed.
Amen. Right there. I had to play that promo. She said, I grew up on the north side, right? But she talked about parenting. She talked about how they were present in her life and how they said to do good. And again, if you're at a table like the people doing the slideshow, you go away from that. You, parents, have to tell your kids, do not get involved with what they're doing. You've got to do better. Get them in school, get them an education, get them a job, and then watch what happens. Get away from that table that is not serving them. I always ask that question. How's that serving you? It's not. It's going to land you in jail. You're going to get frustrated because your kids are going to jail. It's going to happen unless you parent. Okay, that's how we're going to end it. And I'm not even going to do the devotional because I just literally dropped the mic by what Yarrow said. She's amazing. I love that. She just literally came up with that at the very end of the show. Just boom, right into that poem. Just so beautiful. All right, Terry says, more people of color, the good people that see the corruption from the video that we witnessed, speaking up. That was what we said before we went to break. And then she said, I'm white, But if I were not, I would still be the person I am today, which is a good person with good morals because you were raised right. I'm telling you, it goes back to parenting. I would be trying to find a way to speak publicly through social media, anything I can to voice my concerns. Thank you all again for commenting today. Whether you commented last night when I posted that video and you couldn't get up this morning, keep the comments coming in. And by the way, as I mentioned, on Thursday, I will be sitting down with Babs, Barbara Goldson. She was watching earlier. A lot of you know her from being Brian McKenna's best friend. Do you know that name? If you don't, I wish you would have. Instead, we're going to make sure that we keep his name alive and thriving. Your vibe attracts your tribe, right? It's the whole thing about what table are you at? What surroundings do you have? Who are you hanging around? Your vibe attracts your tribe, whether that's good or bad. We're trying to keep the vibe alive. So I'm going to sit down and do an afternoon show on Thursday, 4 o'clock. I will be honored to sit in the chair that Brian sat in right next to Babs. They used to do the Babs and Brian show at 4 o'clock, and she wanted to do one last show, and I wanted to honor her for that. So please share like crazy to watch my feed. Now, I'm going to put it on multiple platforms so that we can sit down. We're going to talk about this. You can guarantee we're going to talk about this because they live in South City. Then we're going to talk about faith. We're going to talk about family. We're going to talk about charity. We're going to talk about doing better. So many things that Brian wanted. I cannot wait for that show. Right, Jim? I love Babs as well. Debbie said mentoring. It starts at a young age. My dad died when I was almost 4, leaving mom with 8 kids. We had amazing mentors step into our lives. There were 8 of us. Get involved with an underprivileged child and see what difference you can make. It's a wonderful feeling. Can't wait to see Babs again. Right, there's all these, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Cope 24, which I know Renee Howitt was on earlier. And these organizations that are trying to do better, to get the guns out of our schools, out of the hands of our young kids. So many things. You've all weighed in on tremendous ideas today. I just hope they get implemented. Rose, Monica, thanks for talking about this. I love St. Louis. I hate when people tell me they are only sorry when they find out what state I live in. Yeah, now it becomes a state, right? Absolutely crazy. All right, well, let's tell you about some things where we can come together as a community. How about this weekend? How many of you are going to come see us? Jenny's going to be there. My husband is going to be there. Zach's going to be directing. He's not going to be, you won't be able to see him in person. Zach's going to be directing from home, but it'll be Jenny, myself, Jim, Jenny's husband, Andy, you can get a chance to meet. And then how many of you are going to come out? Join us live May 17th. That's this Saturday. We will broadcast at noon, and Weingarten Vineyards, by the way, is in St. Genevieve. Take a beautiful drive. It's going to be gorgeous. And so this was the May music lineup. I hope you had a chance to maybe go out and see Vince or Abigail. Otherwise, Baker and Margot will be there right after we do our live broadcast. Again, we're at noon, and then they start at 1 o'clock. Now, I want to run through some other things that are coming up because a lot of people always want to know, where are we going to be? After that, which is May 17th, May 21st, our Mobile Monica is at Osiris Medical Spa. You can find out more about the incredible services they do. We're going to be sitting down and talking to that man right there on the left, Dr. Shadi Hawatma, and we're going to debunk the myths that are out there in the weight loss industry, which has become a huge thing, right? I know a lot of people that have diabetes that are on Ozempic or Mounjaro, semaglutide, you name it, but it's the people that are ordering these things online, injecting themselves, taking pills. You've got to be taken care of by a medical professional. So can't wait to sit down with Dr. Hawatman and get real with him at Osiris Med Spa. Beautiful place, by the way, in Creve Coeur. And then speaking of beautiful, we cannot wait for this. We are still, I believe we've got room for maybe a couple more ladies. This is ladies this time that want to do the makeover show. So you're going to come in, you're going to provide a picture for us of the way you normally dress, right? What is your fashion? And then be willing to let the ladies transform you. That'll be May 28th. It'll be during the 7 a.m. show. You can find out more about them. Shop.thevaultluxuryresale.com. So again, mark it on your calendar. Check out our calendar of events at TheRealMonicaAdams.com. Just click on the events calendar and you'll find out where we're going to be. So again, May 17th, May 21st, May 28th, and then there are a lot of things coming in June and July, but I don't want to do the laundry list. You can find all of those on the website. And then, of course, don't forget about this one. Your vibe attracts your tribe. It is the McKenna Day, Brian McKenna Day, coming up on May 31st, 2 to 7. And yes, we are going to the city. Macklin will be shut down from Devonshire to Nottingham. Food, drinks, music, more so important, and that is that we honor that incredible man that wanted better for our world. and we're going to make it better for you. So we've got some great things planned for you coming up for the rest of the month of May. Again, there's June events coming up with Jay Bloom. We're going to be at Exit 11 Coffee. We'll be at NCJW coming up in July on the 18th. That's another makeover show. That's in Creve Coeur, but that's actually for guys and girls. So they have men's and women's clothes there. So a lot of things right now. I'm smiling. A lot of happy things that are ahead. And at each one of these mobile Monicas, I can't wait to hug you, meet you, make sure you come up and say hi to us. And I just want to thank you again for watching the show day in and day out. Paul, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I appreciate each and every one of you. Now, do me a favor. The greatest thing you can do is share this like crazy. Let everybody know that we are talking about these real things and we're trying to do better as a community. Again, just be kind and watch how far it goes. God bless you all. See you tomorrow morning.